welcome back to Thai democracy. Our last issue today is last but not least, which is very important. Respect my vote, pro-election supporters now speaking out. Now let me recap what really has brought the anti-democracy protesters today. They came out because they came out and protested against the amnesty bill. Now what is the amnesty bill? Amnesty bill is proposed by the current government to cancel all the disputes and cases that were proposed after the coup d'etat back 5 years ago. Now, the anti-democracy protesters stated that the amnesty bill was proposed because it was some way to help the former Prime Minister Thaksin Shinawatra to come back to the country because he was ousted out of the country a couple of years ago. Now, the amnesty bill was proposed by the current government about 2 months ago to cancel all the cases, not just for Thaksin Shinawatra, but for the military forces who took the coup d'etat, for the red shirt supporters, for the yellow shirt supporters, for the Democrat supporters, and for the Pheu Thai party supporters. But even so, the majority of people in this country didn't quite agree on the benefits or the windfall of the amnesty bills because it would cancel all the wrongdoings or all the unsolved cases that have been held for 5 years. So lots of people have congregated on the street. It was the very first phenomena that Thailand has such a rally. Yellow shirts or people who support Pheu Thai party, the current government, people who support Democrat party, the UDD, the red shirts, the yellow shirts, they all came out and rallied to protest against the amnesty bill. Now this is very interesting indeed because over the past 5 or 6 years, the protests would take turn. Yellow shirts took turn, the red shirts took turn, but this time all of them come and united against the amnesty bill. So they all demanded the Prime Minister and the government to terminate, to stop the amnesty bill. Yes, the Prime Minister Yingluck and the government then terminated the amnesty bill. But after that, Mr. Suthep, who is the leader of the anti-democracy protesters, still carry on the rally. Since then, it took quite a long time enough, about a month. So the majority of people became less and less and less, and now it's the majority of people. Now, the anti-democracy protester led by Mr. Suthep always claimed that people who supported the protesters came from the middle class in Bangkok, the majority of people in Bangkok, and also the mass public. That's the word that he always used and has been using. But is it really the mass public, as he said? Actually, NIDA poll just reviewed a survey that only 10% of the Bangkokians, the middle class Bangkokians, Bangkok residents, joined them up or experienced joining the anti-democracy protesters. And if we look at the application period for the candidates for the elections, about 70 provinces people were willing to go for the next elections. But only seven provinces, especially in the south, a majority of people there didn't agree on the next election. But then, because these only 2% of the populations always claim that they are the mass public, there actually have been the true majority of people who never step up to do anything, to go to join the mobs. They all now become the street activists, so-called respect my vote, pro-elections challengers. Now they among these people, who are they? They used to be the Democrat supporters. They used to be the yellow shirt supporters. They used to be the red shirt supporters. They used to even join the anti-democracy protester back 3 months ago. But now they couldn't tolerate anymore. They couldn't tolerate the violence, the increasing violence. So now, about 3 weeks now, the new street activists, the activists for good cause, they all congregate. These are the campaigners that campaigned on the protesting that caused violence. Okay? Starting from in the city of Bangkok, they all lighted up the candles to reflect the icon of the peacefulness. Now, and then after the Bangkokians, all the people in up countries, in the north, in the Middle East, in the northeastern, in Bangkok, in central, and some province in the south. Now all came and congregated at about 6 p.m. and lighted up the candles. Now this has been the increasingly popular to show the peacefulness, and the majority of them really are willing to go for the election on the 2nd February this year. Now, the protesters, despite the anti-democracy protester forces on the elected government, they all demanded the current government under caretaker, Prime Minister Yingluck Shinawatra, to resign from the cabinet, to dissolve the cabinet. Now this is very interesting because the caretaker Prime Minister already dissolved the cabinet in December. Now that she has already dissolved the cabinet, she is already the caretaker, and the current government is already the caretaker. Now there's no way, no room for the constitution for them to resign, because if they resign, they might even be sued or penalized by constitution because they're supposed to organize the elections. So now the question has been raised, why the anti-democracy protester consisting of Democrat supporters or yellow shirt supporters persisted on ousting out the current government out of the administration, even they are just caretakers. Is it because Democrat Party has lost the election for about 20 years? Is it because Democrat Party doesn't want to take part in the next election? But what interesting is that the Democrat Party already boycotted the election for 2 times now. Now, if Democrat Party boycotted the election this time again, the party might be banned from political involvement or the elections for about the next 8 years or 10 years. Now, this is very interesting indeed, because the anti-democracy protester now asked the current caretaker government to postpone the election. Now that they don't really persist that, hey, there shouldn't be election anymore, but they like to postpone the elections. Now the Prime Minister Yingluck and the current government couldn't postpone either, couldn't resign from the government, the administration, and couldn't postpone the election either. The majority of the Thai citizens now from 70 provinces and around the country, totaling to 48 million people now, are looking forward to going to vote, to go to the ballot for the elections. Several Facebook pages by the supporters, they also respect my vote. Now this has become popular, become a fashion to show that respect my votes. I believe in democracy, and democracy, the ingredient or the composition of the principle of the democracy is to go for the elections. Now, no matter the people councils or no matter any amendment to the democracy or election process as proposed by the anti-democracy protester. The majority of Thai people would like to go for the elections before negotiation or any movement on the People Council on amending on the constitution. We can see people that lighted up the candles, and the more violence, we saw the bombs 2 days ago, the more violence prevailed, the more people will join, congregate, and lighted up the candles. This is the daily issues on democracy in Thailand. See you tomorrow in more and more important issues on democracy at Thai Democracy. Goodbye.